Good afternoon, everybody. It's Monday, and it's kind of late in the afternoon, but we're back. We're gonna try to get a little bit of work done today. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I came back from that trip from Kernersville, or not Kernersville, Kershaw, where we were looking at the Raptor 100, and all of a sudden I just started losing my voice. So still kind of coming back here a little bit. But we are back out here where we cleaned up the homeless encampment, and we've got some mulching to do. But luckily I have got a brand new little toy to try out on this job, which I hope is gonna work great. So let's take a look at what we got. Okay, everybody, feast your eyes on this thing. This is a brand new Munchie, but this is a different brand of Munchie. This comes from a company called TMC Cancela. They are out of Spain. I had never heard of them before today. Actually, I take that back. I had heard of them. I saw them at the GIE with John, but I didn't even, they had a remote control unit very similar to that Prenoth 100, and we looked at it, but I totally forgot the name. So anyway, my buddy Casey over at CCE is probably going to start selling this brand, and the sales guy, they reached out to me, and Casey was like, hey, I got this guy, he'd be happy to try to demo one. So they called me and they said, you want to demo this thing? And I was like, yeah, of course. So this thing's been in the shop for the last week, getting hooked up and everything. It may need some adjustment on the tune. We're gonna find out. It may not be tuned exactly the way it needs to be, but it should work, I guess, for today. This one does have a door on it, similar to John over at Upstate Brush Control, his Bullhog, so it does have a door. We got all the electrical stuff hooked up for that. It's electric, not hydraulic. Well, it is hydraulic, but you need the electrical to hook up to it. I'll get into all the specs on this thing later, because it's kind of late and we need to get some work done. So let's just get to mulching. We're right out here by the road. We're gonna get right into this line. I'm gonna kind of just go in at an angle, and we're gonna start working this line down and make this happen. So let's fire it up and see what she do. This thing's aggressive. It's a wider mulcher than the Prenoth mulcher I've got. So this is like a 72, so it's definitely a little wider. It's bigger and it's heavier, and you know it. You can definitely tell it. So let's get started. that's all for today, folks. And I'm really happy with the production in only about 2.5 hours over here. So we did a really good job in here, got a lot done. The middle in here is mostly done. Really the only thing left to do is these edges here. I don't know if I'm gonna take down those red maples there. They're a little big, but it's really just this edge. And my original plan was to come in here and mulch the edges with little Munchie, maybe, but being that close to the street there, I could probably do that front. But I think what I'm gonna do is just come in here and do the John Burns method, because he doesn't have a mulcher on a Mini. And so when they have to do stuff like this next to the road or whatever, they just bring the Mini in and with the bucket and grub everything out. I typically don't do that, but I'm not too concerned about utilities here. Everything's out there on the street, it's all marked. It's pretty, power's up there. I think it's just some telephone and maybe water, but we're so far off of that, I don't think snatching any of that out of the ground is gonna be a problem. So I'm gonna come in here with the Mini tomorrow. We'll have both machines over here tomorrow, and we'll just start grubbing, coming around the edges grubbing, and I'll just pile all that stuff up out here, and then it'll just be easy pickings for this thing. I like this thing, I'm not gonna lie. I've only got about 2.5 hours of running it, but it eats. I think there are, and I've already talked to the sales guy, you know, just looking at it initially when we were going over everything and tuning and whatnot, there were a few little design tweaks, I think, that could make this better. But this thing, as far as the efficiency and the main goal of turning trees and brush into little bitty pieces, it works. It's I was a little worried about maybe the recovery, because it's a wider drum, but the drum is, I think, a smaller drum than the Prenoth, and it for its width, it recovers very quickly. Has the same exact motor. It's a 110cc Bosch Rexroth hydraulic motor. It's right up underneath there. It's got the same motor as the Prenoth. Most of the mulching companies run in these skid steer mulchers at high flow. They're mostly running Bosch Rexroth motors. So it works. Those teeth grab really good. It's a CMOF. I think it's like a CMOF style tooth mostly. I don't think it's exactly the same as a CMOF, but it's very similar, one-sided. Yeah, it ate in here. It did a really good job. I'm very happy with the production for only about 2.5 hours in here. This thing's, I'm very happy with it. It's built like a tank. I mean, the quality of the construction is really good. I mean, the thing is definitely built heavy duty. I mean, you can see this push bar is freaking, there's nothing light duty about this push bar. It's heavy duty. So I'm really liking it. I think there's, again, and we'll do a full review after I run it. I'm gonna have it for about a month, I think, roughly speaking. So we're gonna run it on 3 or 4 jobs. I said those are mostly just design tweaks. I think that can make it a little better, but I really do like it. It eats, it does a great job. It eats and recovers well, grabs the material off the ground really well. It's fast. Actually, it cuts better than what I thought, because we dynoed it and it's only running about 1850 RPM at full go, where my Prenoth runs in like the 2200. But even at only about 1850, which I could probably get a little more RPM out of it with a little bit better tune. It's rated for up to 2000 RPM, but I mean, it ate really good in here. And I was a little concerned about that, it being a little lower RPM, but it ate. It just ate and ate and ate, and it did a really good job. So I'm happy with it. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned for more of this bad boy. A lot more mulching coming up, and we'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.